Welcome everybody to the next episode of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You're here with JP and Justin. What's up, bro?
And not much. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just a little
Good.
frustrated, a little irritated with this whole Willie Gay thing. Um,
Uh-huh.
I think they've really went overboard with that suspension. I mean, that was
Yeah, I think kind of out of pocket for kind of took it too much, I guess you could say.
well, I
But
mean, 4 games, and then not to mention the fact they did it in the middle of the season,
yeah,
which is very strange.
yeah, it
I,
happened last season, so it's kind of just out of the random. Just pull it out and throw it now.
yeah,
Week 4, coming into week 3.
yeah.
But
It just makes no sense. I don't get it.
hmm
That's something that you do either at the beginning of the season or you do it at the end of the season. You don't just randomly throw it out on week 3 and say, "Oh, by the way, you're
yep.
gone for 4 games." You know,
hmm
there was a situation where he wasn't going to appeal it, but his agent did. I talked to an agent that knows his agent, and he said that if the NFLPA kind of got behind him a little bit, they would. He wanted to appeal it. The Chiefs kind of said no. Willie Gay said forget about it. But he did really. He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to sit out. But in the same aspect, it's 4 games that he doesn't get to practice. He doesn't get to play.
Yep.
So it's it's sad. I mean, it really is.
Yep. And I was doing some research, and it said for the first 2 weeks he can't even be on the facility, no contact with the team officials, and then after that he can meetings and stuff. But 2 weeks right in the middle of the season and just
Yeah,
missing that's huge. That's gonna hurt.
man.
I mean,
The one good
he's
thing about it is we got depth. I mean,
uh-huh.
but he isn't. He was a driving force in that interception when you really consider
hmm
it. So
Yep. He's been playing well.
been playing very well. I mean,
I mean, he had
yeah,
almost
huh?
95% of the he was in for almost 95% of the defensive snaps last week, and then
Yeah,
he had like 70% against the Cardinals, but we were up big, so they pulled him late.
yeah,
But
yeah. I don't get it. I mean, I know that Goodell hired this woman specifically for situations like this. Well,
mhm.
I mean, I don't know if it's I'm going to beat up a vacuum cleaner and you know
break a wall or two.
break and throw an iPhone through a TV and get a four
Uh-huh.
game suspension. But plus he did everything he was supposed to do. The charges were dropped. The judge gave him his mandatory community thing and his anger management class. He did it.
Yep.
Hasn't had an issue since, and then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, it's just ignorant.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean, it's been resolved for some 4 or 5 months now. It's been over and gone, and they
yeah,
just pull us out kind of out of the blue. And I feel like everyone kind of forgot about it. Like when I saw the notification he was getting suspended, it kind of caught me off guard because I didn't even know what he did wrong
yeah,
because
I
it's
thought I
been
was
that
just thinking.
long.
Well, I watched both games very closely. I didn't see him do anything.
Uh huh.
And then when it came out, I thought, you got to be kidding me right now? And now they're going to do it on week 3. I
Yeah.
mean, that's something you do either prior to the season or after the season. You don't just suspend them in the middle of the,
Right.
especially for something
And
that
it,
happened last year. I mean, regardless.
exactly.
So I don't know.
It's not like there's been more information discovered either that just you can pin on him. Like there's been nothing since
No, nothing.
July or whatever. Whenever he, yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just ridiculous. But there's a lot of things going on in the NFL right now that are, I guess, sketchy. I mean, like you had mentioned, showing the knees and getting $5,000 fines, and um, I don't know what has happened, but I know Goodell hired that woman specifically for this stuff. I just don't know why
Mhm.
she's going so gung ho over a vacuum cleaner. Maybe it was her favorite brand. I really don't know.
Maybe she should get involved a little bit more with Deshaun Watson
Yeah, yeah, no
than
kidding.
against Willie Gay. If
Well,
she,
you're right. And the one thing that I don't agree with is the fact that she came in after this situation. Okay, I would
Mhm.
understand if she was involved from the beginning through, but she wasn't. She was hired after this happened. After she shouldn't be involved in something she didn't start, I should say. She wasn't
Exactly.
there from the beginning. So why should she have any say in what's going on now? But,
Mhm.
you know, look, when you're a team like the Chiefs that gave up Tyreek Hill, you basically revamped your defense, revamped your offense and all your receiving core, uh, swapped out running backs, did everything that you could do to revamp a football team basically, and are still 2-0 and beat one of the better football teams in the league. They're going to figure out a way of messing with you right now. I mean, it just is
Yep.
what it is, especially with Brady down there throwing iPads again and, um, you
Getting
know,
his receiver suspended.
yeah, getting his receivers suspended and starting more fights. And
Yep.
his mouth, man, I tell you, it never ends. And he's lucky. There's been at least 3 times over the last 5 years that I'm surprised Chris Jones just didn't rip his head completely off.
Hmm.
There's
It's
no
because
love lost between those two guys. But
Chris Jones would be the one getting in trouble and not Brady. That's why. That's
exactly,
exactly why.
exactly, exactly. Last year supposedly he got fined $4,500 for throwing the tablet. I don't know if that ever actually really happened or not. I have a really hard time believing it. I don't believe it happened. But I think that he's not going to get fined this time. He's not going to get in trouble for this fight. He instigated that entire fight. He
Uh-huh.
started the
He
fight.
ought to he ought to pay Mike Evans' fine for him,
Yeah,
stirring it all up, and then yeah, he owes him. I don't know what Mike Evans got fined, but he owes him that.
yeah, he definitely does. I mean, and plus whatever his game salary is, because he won't get paid
Yep.
for that. So
Hmm.
um, I don't know. It's a weird. This is going to be a weird year. I can tell you. Looking at some of the games yesterday, and even last or Sunday and last night, I have to say there's some teams out there that I thought were going to be a lot better that aren't.
Yep.
Um, Looking at the Titans, they're just a mess. I mean, they are not good in any way.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. I can proudly say Derrick Henry falling off a little bit was my hot take before the season,
yeah,
and not necessarily his fault. Maybe it comes back to the O line too, but it's happening. So
yeah, it
there's one up
is.
for me.
I don't know if you watched that game, but there was a tackle on him that I don't think 2 years ago would have happened, but maybe honestly, if he wouldn't have got injured, I don't even know if it would have happened last year. But this guy just basically barely wrapped his ankle and drew him
Hmm.
straight down. I mean, it was
Yep.
like he was pulling down a little kid. And I don't know if
Yep.
there's a fear factor behind this because of his injury. I don't know what it is, but he does not look the same either. Tannehill looks like crap. He's throwing
Uh-huh.
stuff all over the place, just errant balls, and
Yep.
their O line's terrible. I don't know.
I mean, before this season, Henry's size was his advantage, running guys over and stuff. But now it's almost like his weakness because he's too tall and limber. They're just hitting those legs out from under him, and he's going down instead of being able to run guys over. So
Exactly.
kind of lost a
Exactly.
step there.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that team plays out the rest of the year. I kind of
Yep.
expect them to be better than what they've shown so far. I mean, I look at the Bills. Yeah, they've had some good wins, but in the same aspect, they played a team with a Super Bowl hangover, and then they didn't play well. And then you played the Titans, and
Yeah, with a really weak secondary at that to give them all
exactly,
the hype. Yep.
exactly. I mean, there were so many wide open passes that Allen had that Mahomes never has. He
Yep.
never has those type of wide open passes. It's kind of reminds me of kind of what the Chargers have right now. They're front loaded as far as their schedule is concerned, and we're not. Our first 9 games are
Hmm.
tough,
Yep.
and we don't have a break until really week 9, week 10, and it really may not even be a break then. We don't know yet, but
Right.
as it stands right
Those are.
now, I mean, we look tough. I mean, we look
Yeah.
like we got a tough schedule.
Right.
It-
If we get off hot, that could help though, because give us some momentum coming into the playoffs if we beat
ex-
off some of these tougher teams. So
exactly.
might be an advantage.
Yeah, I mean, really, they had Arizona ranked higher than they were. They didn't play very good.
Hmm.
Um, by the way, the Raiders lost to them. Had to throw that out there. Uh,
Yep.
then they had San Diego winning the AFC West, and we beat them.
Yep.
So I don't know. I mean, looking at our team and given the fact that we are, 65% rookies and new guys, that first
Hmm.
year players for this team, I'm really not too concerned. I don't know about you,
Right.
but I'm not too concerned with anything at this point.
No, I mean normally teams like this they have talent, so they'll be good eventually, but it takes them a few years to get rolling and stuff.
Yeah,
But I mean we've started off. I mean a few years or at least a few weeks, but we've started off really hot and we've been going good. So
yeah, yeah. I
I
mean,
like it.
we've been tearing it up. I mean, it's been we've been good on all sides of the ball, and I think that's what has been really phenomenal to me is watching. Even special teams has been so good. We've lost Bucker, and Amendola stepped in and did a good job. Reed stepped in and did a good job. What I like is the fact that we have so much depth in our within our team that if one guy goes down, it's the next man up to a degree. And then Veach always has somebody sitting there in the waiting that he can go grab really quick. And I like the
Exactly.
fact that he's able to do that, and we're able to do that. We've been fairly lucky to this point with injuries, and even though we've had a few, it's not been major. This Willie Gay thing was kind of stupid, but we do have backups
Hmm.
for that. Um, for a few games. I guess the hard
Yep.
part is, we're playing Buffalo without Willie Gay, which I think will be okay, but it's
Hmm.
still, you don't want to play Buffalo without Willie Gay. It's
Right. I mean, he's still been a key piece to our defense. I mean, I think it'll hit us hardest the first few drives this next week. We'll have to be patient, seeing the defense kind of come together like it is now. But I think they'll get going and we'll be all right.
yeah, I think we'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're in a position now that everybody's starting to gel, and even from the beginning of the season we started off strong like always. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a stat that went out that in the last 3 years you had Patrick Mahomes that started off with 7 touchdowns, then Patrick Mahomes, and then Lamar Jackson is the
Mm-hmm.
only three quarterbacks that have started off with that many touchdowns,
Yep.
and they've all either went to a Super Bowl or at least the playoffs. So I think I think we're in a good spot. I just think um, it's gonna be a rough road for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're gonna
Yep.
see some struggles in certain areas, but not
Yep.
you know when losing Willie Gay, and then also losing oh man, my mind's not working. Safety, McDuffie.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of hurt. So
Yep.
we needed him out there. Because he plays. The guy's so versatile. Safety, he's a
Mm-hmm.
strong safety. He's a corner. He's just all over the
Yeah.
place. I don't know how. You know, I can't say that it wasn't filled in very well, but
Right.
we did give. I think with McDuffie in there, there would have been a little bit less of an opportunity um, for Herbert. I don't know about you.
Yep.
It's my opinion.
No, I agree. Yep. I mean, with Keenan Allen already hurt, it would have probably shut down Mike Evans or Mike Williams too. Excuse me.
Yeah,
So that doesn't really leave him with anyone to throw to. I mean,
yeah,
I don't think it. I think it won't be very pretty for the first few weeks coming after this suspension and stuff, kind of getting used to everything. But I mean, nothing we haven't seen before. I think we'll adjust fine,
yeah,
especially come playoff time, and we'll be on a roll.
yeah. I agree. There's been some suspensions like Mike Evans, and then what's his name from
That Bills O
that
line.
Bills guy,
Yep.
Bill line guy, um,
Bobby Hart.
Bobby
Yep.
Hart. Yeah, he got suspended.
Yep.
Um, Apparently, there's an investigation going on right now that somebody slapped a coach from the Titans in the head, a Bills
No
player.
kidding. And then
Yeah,
there's also that one for Kyler Murray getting slapped after the game. Did you see
yeah,
that one?
yeah, and that was by a
Uh-huh.
fan.
Yep. And
Fan.
if you on the normal or speed, it didn't really look like anything. But then once you slow it down and really saw the fan sit up and reach up, I don't know if you saw the slow
Yeah,
mode
I
version,
did.
but it was not
Yeah,
much investigating to do there to know that.
no,
But
no.
that's Raiders fans for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But
But you can't expect
keep it
anything
classy.
different. Yeah, keep it classy. Uh, but I guess they're looking into the film because that was going into I guess apparently he purposely ran over to instigate a fight with another player and took a swing at him and ended up hitting the coach.
Yep, I saw
And
that.
I don't
He
know
actually
what
injured
coach
him.
that is. Yeah, I don't know.
Mhm.
Did anybody, they haven't, what I have read, they haven't announced which coach it was, but
I don't think. I think it was probably just an assistant coach in that case,
it
but
might
I'm
have
not
been,
sure.
yeah. Because
I'm
I think
assuming if it was like a head coach or something, everyone would be throwing his name out there to make this case more serious.
well,
But
not only
that'd
that,
just be my guess.
their head coach would start swinging back. I mean, he's
Uh-huh. Yeah,
he ain't no
he's
joke. So,
yep.
uh, but yeah, I mean, apparently he injured him pretty good. So,
Mhm.
uh, that's going to probably be a good suspension.
Mhm.
If they're going to suspend Willie Gay for 4 games, for a
He's
vacuum,
out for the
this
season.
guy better be out for the season. I mean,
Exactly.
better be some kind of indefinite stuff for him.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
but again, he didn't hit a woman. So, and he didn't hit a woman's appliance. So we'll have to
Uh-huh.
see how that works out. But, or an appliance used by the majority of women. But no offense to women, but that's just,
Uh-huh.
um, it's not something you want to buy your wife for anniversary gift or anything. But I'm just saying, but
Don't get any ideas.
don't get any ideas out there. But
That's right.
yeah, so it's just kind of interesting to see how the NFL has, um, I guess, changed the rules so quickly. And I went through some of these new rule changes that were after the CBAs, and it was just like
Mhm.
implemented after the fact. And I'm thinking, man, where did they come up with this stuff? It was like they
Yeah.
came up with it out of nowhere, and they expect everybody to immediately know it and then abide by it. Now, with
Yeah.
the fights and all the things that are going on, I mean, look, Tom Brady has started fights for years, and then of course he runs his mouth. He walks around the huddle or the pile of guys that are fighting, but he
Mhm.
makes sure he stays far enough away to where he doesn't get clocked, and
Right.
yet he never gets in trouble. It
Yep.
just never happens for him. So, and we don't expect him to be in trouble at all this year, and he'll probably, I mean, look, it is what it is. It's his. There's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be his last year. I think, given the fact that he's separated and
Yep.
it's
He's already
all
taken
because,
Wednesdays off,
yeah,
veteran rest day. If it's that point, you need to hang it up if you can't practice all
yeah,
throughout the week, in my opinion.
yeah. Plus, all the comments he's made have been really not
He's
Tom
not in it
Brady-ish.
this year.
He's
Yeah,
just not.
exactly.
Yeah,
I feel like he doesn't really care, to be
yeah.
honest. But
And he put so much effort into throwing that 38-yard pass for a touchdown.
mhm.
You could tell he's losing arm strength,
Yep.
and he does look. I mean, even he still doesn't
Off.
look great. Yeah, he still doesn't
Uh-huh.
look like physically great. I mean,
Uh-uh.
regardless of how you look at it, he just looks skinny. He looks,
Right.
I don't know, almost. I don't know how to explain it, but um,
Yep.
honestly, when they told me that there was something going on with him, they wouldn't. Well, I think I had told you they wouldn't give me a real answer. And the first thing
Uh-huh.
I asked was marital issues, and the first guy said, "Yeah." So I asked two other guys, and I said, "Okay, is he got cancer or is it something else? Is like PEDs? What's going on with him?"
Mhm.
Because I figured he wasn't going to play, and the other guy was pretty far off, and he goes, "Well, you might have one of the two right." And it ended up being the first guy I asked was dead on.
Mhm.
It was
Yeah.
marital issues. Um, that was
I mean,
he wasn't supposed to go back. It's his third time he's lied to her about coming back
uh-huh.
after he says he's going to retire. He was going to retire after he left the Patriots. That didn't happen. Then he was going to retire the next year. That didn't happen. You know,
And then he did retire.
then he did retire, and 40 days later he comes back.
Uh-huh.
And I think he's just such a narcissist that he can't handle the fact that people aren't talking about him.
Yeah.
I think that's really what it all boils down to. I don't think it's a
Mhm.
fact that it's unfinished business that he thinks he's going to go out and win another Super Bowl.
I mean, what else is there to finish? He's done it all.
He's done it
I mean,
all. I mean,
yeah.
unless he's looking at the caliber of people like the Mahomeses and the Allens and people like that, Mahomes especially, that's already been to two Super Bowls and most likely will go to 3 or 4 or 5 more. Maybe he's worried that he won't be the ring holder in the next 15 years, in the next
Yeah.
10 years, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
So I don't know, but I think it's just look, I don't know the man. I don't like him personally just because of the way he treats players that aren't superstars, players that aren't
Mhm.
this, players that aren't that. But when he walks away from them, won't shake their hands. Quarterback that beats him, maybe a second string quarterback, and he walks away or has a good game and he doesn't. That's what bothers me the most about
Uh-huh.
him.
Yep.
And the baby fits. Uh,
Yep.
but
He gets what he wants, but
he does.
the thing I don't like, in my opinion, is I mean, obviously it's Tom Brady, but if you strip his reputation right now and put his talent on a team, he's backup. He's not starting.
No,
If you take just his talent, which I kind of get in a sense that he is a legend, but at the same time, at some point, it's just poor management to keep him in the game. I
it
mean, you
really
kind of got
is.
to move on at some point.
Yeah. And I
So,
think it's similar to what they did with in LA when Herbert got hurt.
hmm
Regardless if he wanted to
yeah,
come in or not, you should have pulled him out of that game because he
yeah.
took another
When
big hit by Clark right after
I
that.
saw that. And
Yeah.
if you're too hurt to run 2 yards for the first down, then you shouldn't be in the game.
No.
That was yeah, stupid in my part in
Yeah, it
my
was just
thoughts.
dumb.
But
I mean,
yeah.
he was seriously hurt, and
Mm,
his coach, Staley is his name, isn't it?
yeah.
Brandon Staley, yeah,
Yes.
or Daly or whatever his name is. He just seems to be very all about himself.
Mhm.
But the problem with that is, look, he's proven time in and time out that he loves to go on fourth down. He loves to do this. He loves to do that. That's one that's a lot of times can get your players injured, depending on the
Mhm.
situation you're in, the team you're playing. Um, do I think we should have went when we were in fourth and inches instead of punting or kicking a field goal? Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think we punted in
It
that one.
worked. Yeah, it worked out in the end at least.
It
So
did. It
that's
did. But there was times that he's went on 4th and 4, when he didn't
hmm
need to. In
Yeah.
the middle of a game when it's a close game, or even if they're leading by 3, he's done that.
Yep.
And I think that's just
hmm
it's dangerous football for his players, in my opinion. But if that's how he wants to coach, it's on him. I think he's on the hot
That's
seat this
exactly.
year.
I do too, and I think we're gonna push him off the seat. In my opinion,
I think so
we're
too.
gonna. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think so too. And then we can let's look at the Broncos really quick.
hmm
So Russell Wilson's not good. He
Nope.
hasn't played up.
But he's gonna be there for 30 years, so he better
Yeah,
figure it out.
yeah. It's crazy, but he's not playing. He's actually playing worse than he did in Seattle.
Yep,
And
he is.
I don't know if that's because of the new system. I don't know if it's because supposedly he has 100% control on the field. So I don't know if it's
hmm
if it's just the fact that he's just not really. Maybe he's lost a step. I don't know,
Yeah.
but he does not look good. He's throwing
No.
inaccurate passes, and he's not running nearly as much as he used to. Not nearly
hmm
as much.
No, he's slowed down a lot. I've noticed
Y-
that too.
Yeah. So I don't know, man.
And
They look like they're going to be a last. It's going to be a fight between them and the Raiders as far as who's going to be in
that's
last place. But
that was my thought too. My article this week was for the AFC West recap, excuse me. And I those two at the bottom, it was tough to decide who I predicted to lose it because they're both not looking very hot. But
no,
I went with the Broncos because with a quarterback play like that, you just need some superstars somewhere else. And they were kind of relying on him to be that guy. And at
yeah,
least the Raiders have Devontae Adams, and they have some hope there.
yeah,
So that
yeah.
was my thought process.
I noticed that
But
Carr in 2 games straight has really put a lot of emphasis on throwing to Devontae Adams and
hmm
he's forcing
too,
the ball to him,
way
and
too
that
much.
way too much. And that's when you've got a Darren Waller and um, I never can remember their other wide receiver's name, but
Hunter Renfro.
yeah, Renfro.
That here's yep,
You need to really spread the ball out a little bit more,
yep.
and he did a little bit better job in the second game, but again he was
hmm
playing, you know, a team that really we led by 30, for
Yep.
a long period of time.
Yep.
So I don't know what they're seeing, and I think Carr is really going to struggle this year because he really depended upon Adams, and they're going to start running a lot of coverage on Adams.
Yep.
And
And
the
then he's
fact
not going to throw to anyone else.
is exactly, and it's
Uh-huh.
going to be his first and his last look, and that's the biggest mistake a quarterback can make. I mean, it
Uh-huh.
really is.
I
When
think
you're
he was actually playing better without Adams just because he was opening up the field and looking around.
exactly,
But he's been
exactly,
so far anyway. He's been locked in Adams the whole time, and so
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know though.
Well, I mean, really, when you think about it, he doesn't have as many looks. It's not like he's got 5 or 6 players
hmm
to look and see who's open. That's not his fault. That's their coach's fault. But
Right.
um, I think that he still has to remember that he does have other players on that team.
Yep.
So
Which, I mean, they have some talent still though. I mean, Waller, he's a hell of a tight end, so
he
you'd think
is.
that they'd be able to. I mean, at least consider throwing to him in some scenarios, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It looks like, I mean, I think Waller got his contract, if I'm not mistaken. He
I think he
switched,
did too.
yeah, he switched agents immediately, went to Rosenhaus and got his
hmm
contract. And I
Yep.
don't blame him. I would have asked for one too. If you want me to stay here, you know, you're gonna have to pay me because I don't see us going anywhere for a while. So,
Right.
um, and
Exactly.
it was kind of after that move of McDaniel's dumping everybody. It was like
Yep.
he dumped everybody. Okay, I want a new contract.
Yep.
So
Which makes sense because then at least if they trade him, he's getting paid somewhere else still. So,
exactly, yeah.
yep.
And
Smart
there's a
move
lot
on
of
his
teams.
behalf.
It is, and there's a lot of teams out there that are going to want him. I mean, it's that
Mm-hmm.
simple. He is 29 years old, but he's still a viable player. He's a little injury
Mm-hmm.
prone, but um, he's going to be wanted by somebody.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so, and somebody's going to pick up that contract. So I don't think that's going to be like a Jimmy G situation where nobody wants that contract.
hmm
You
Which
know,
worked out well for them,
yeah.
but
Thank God they did what they did. I mean,
uh-huh.
I guess there's a lot of people saying that they should fire. Oh, their head coach in the 49ers. I can't think of his name right now, but Everybody's wanting
Kyle
him
Shanahan.
fired.
Yep.
Yeah, Kyle Shanahan, Mike's son.
Yep.
Everybody wants him fired right now because
I mean, it's I don't know. I'm not inside of the 49ers stuff a lot, but it looked like a pretty bad decision not having Garoppolo in the game once he came in and lit everything up.
yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I get
I
the
don't know.
fact that you want to put your number one. I think they were trying to pull. I think they were trying to do what the Chiefs did.
I've said that a lot. I've said they're trying to match it up just like they did with Mahomes, but
Yeah,
he's not Mahomes, so it's
no,
not going to work out.
he's not Mahomes. There's nobody out there
Hmm.
that is. So
Hmm.
people are going to have to realize that.
Right.
I will give Miami some props. Granted, that was a really poor performance on the Ravens secondary.
Oh, horrible! I had money on that game too, so
Yeah.
I had money on the Ravens, so I was not happy.
Well, I mean, Miami came back and won it, and
Uh-huh.
again, it's kind of like what we thought was going to happen. He had a couple of deep, well, 30, 40-yard passes to Tyreek. Tyreek,
Deep-ish.
yeah, that Tyreek finished off, but
Uh-huh.
most of them were 7-10 dump off
And
passes, 7-10 yards, and
they played pretty poor the first 3 quarters, and then the fourth quarter is when they actually started playing. I mean, bottom little. I mean, they didn't play bad, but it wasn't until the end where they started actually picking it up. So
yeah, and that's when
I
the
don't know.
Ravens
I'm
fell
gonna have to
off.
see it.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna have to start seeing it more consistently before I buy in on the hype completely.
yeah. I mean, Miami, if they look, I'll say this: they've got some talent. I think Waddle
Hmm.
is probably the better wide receiver on that team as far as hands are concerned, because we've
Hmm.
watched Tyreek miss a couple of really good passes that I would say 2 or 3 really good passes, and Tyreek
Yep.
missed them. One of them was an interception, um, which started off the season exactly kind of how he ended last season, but
Uh-huh.
with the Chiefs. But he's still a good player. He's still viable. But I think Waddle is a better all around receiver just because he's
Yep.
got better route running skills and his hands are better. He can pretty
I
much
agree.
do anything.
I think he makes a better wide receiver one, but then that also puts him in success with Tyreek Hill at the two. I mean, given the scenario, because then that just, I mean, with a playmaker at number two and then a better overall guy at one, that's just kind of what everyone should be looking for.
Exactly. Now we just got to wait and make
So,
sure Tua doesn't collapse
yeah.
because, so far up until this point, he hasn't been the greatest. So,
Hmm.
and I've always been a proponent for him because I was really hoping he would make it in the NFL. And there for a little
Hmm.
bit, I honestly thought, especially when they were, you know, like benching him for Fitzpatrick and it
Yep.
was back and forth, back and forth. It was almost like this quarterback by committee type of thing. Oh, if you're going to
Yep.
play, not throw for a couple of touchdowns in the first quarter, then I don't want you in the game situation.
Yep. And
And
that really screwed with his confidence. So I didn't
it,
think he was going to bounce back from that.
I didn't either. I
So,
really didn't either.
mhm.
So I got to give him, Tyreek really talked him up
Hmm.
a lot.
That's that ruined it for him, I thought, in my opinion, because I mean, I was hoping he would do good, and then here comes Tyreek Hill talking him up as the best quarterback of all time, and then it kind of just like it put this like undeserved hate onto it, in my opinion,
Yeah,
just off of that. But
and a lot of pressure. I mean, it puts a lot
hmm
of pressure on a quarterback that's had really rough seasons, and then
yeah, an
becomes
unproven quarterback at that.
yeah. I mean, he's an unproven quarterback that now all of a sudden is the best quarterback in football.
Hmm.
Um, More accurate than Patrick Mahomes. Now, yeah, Tyreek did say he doesn't have the arm strength, but he's more accurate. Well, look, Mahomes is accurate with the arm strength.
Yeah.
So
And he only got away with he only didn't say that he had better arm strength just because they would have been getting him tested for mental issues that he said Tua
exactly.
had a better
Oh
arm
yeah,
than
they would have
Patrick.
been treating him like AB in a minute. So, uh, they would have said, okay, go see AB's doctor because something's wrong with
Yeah.
you.
CT
Um,
test coming
yeah,
in.
but it's crazy to think that he had a 6 touchdown game. I know a lot of those were
Uh-huh.
short. A couple of them were
Right.
really lucky, touchdowns. But
On
give it
paper though,
on
it
paper, it's
was
great. I mean,
yeah.
got to give the guy props. He did what he needed to do to win the game. And
Uh-huh.
look, Baltimore, everybody was talking them up like they were going to be this, the comeback team of the year because they had
Mhm.
all of their pieces back, and their defense, their secondary is terrible.
Yep. I saw. I think three out of four of their defensive backs were rookies.
Yeah,
Like you can't
yeah.
expect a whole lot out of that. That's poor coaching.
It is,
I
and
mean,
especially if you don't have rookies that come in like we've been extremely lucky because we've got a lot of day one starters that,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, are Pro Bowl caliber players. They look
Right.
like they've been playing a while, but not every GM and coach can do that. No matter
Yeah.
who, in fact, I don't know of any that can really do that. I don't know of anybody
I
that
mean,
had 8 day one players on the field and that are 2-0 right now.
I don't know anybody who
So,
had a seventh round rookie give up their fifth least catch percentage either, too. I
yeah,
mean,
exactly. Exactly. And not to mention the fact that, there was that 99.5 yard,
uh-huh.
pick
Yeah.
six that was a NFL record
Game
for a
changer.
rookie. Yeah,
Yeah.
game changer and
Yeah.
NFL record for a rookie.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Just ignore that.
yeah, don't worry about that one. But one thing I noticed, and we talked about this on the last show, and I think that's something that really needs to be understood. We had one of our own at the game in talking with a lot of the execs, and we were dead on that Bieniemy called every play in the first half of that Chargers game.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of frustration in the locker room. Didn't get nearly as blown up as it did last year, but and I'm not saying that because of the ignorant article that came out. I'm saying that because of what actually went on in the locker room, which wasn't nearly what was said, but um, what we said on the show was actually what happened. But there was some frustration. Andy fed Bieniemy whatever plays he was calling on the field in the second half, and then Andy called every play was Andy's in the second half. Andy's or Nagy's,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they played so much better in the second half.
Yeah, really picked it up.
That was not the game. I understand that in a contract of an OC that you have a certain amount of play calls that are your right. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really, you almost had to rework that contract to a degree because honestly, there was some mistakes, like certain players that were out of position, certain players that should have
Yep.
been in the game that weren't, like Watson.
Yep.
Okay. It's that simple. He should have been in the game.
And it's actually not that uncommon to have a head coach that coaches one side of the ball, at least a majority of the time. I mean, they'll be coaching offense or coach a defense or something. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
so.
And it's similar to kind of like how Kafka left. Okay. I mean, there
Mhm.
was an issue. He wanted to stay here. He was going to be the OC this year. Um, but when you're kind of in a internal squabble between the OC, the current OC, and then, kind of getting pulled both directions between the coach and the OC, and then a team comes up and says, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to give you 100% offensive play calls.
Uh-huh.
You run the offense. That's you get it all. And we're not going to step
Prove
on
it
your toes.
here.
Yeah, it's in your
Yeah.
contract. It's your offense. You call every single play. When you have a team that gives you 100% control, and you got a Saquon Barkley coming back that's healthy, that has played out of his shoes, which I'm very happy for.
Yeah, me too. I've
Um,
been cheering for him.
yeah, it's easy to say, okay, well, wait, I love Andy, but this is an opportunity that I can't pass up, and I
Exactly.
know I'm not going to get 100% of the play calls.
And you'll probably get paid there too. I
Yeah,
mean, if you come in coaching 100%, I mean, it makes you more valuable if you've been coaching all of that. So.
exactly, exactly. And if he has look, if they go to the playoffs this year, I guarantee he's going to be getting probably 5 calls next year or at the end of the season,
Uh-huh.
head coaching position.
Oh yeah.
So, and more power to him. But I think they learned a little bit of a lesson in the first half of that game, and most
Hmm.
of it was probably not to. They need to pick and choose what they're going to do with the play calls, by who makes those calls, I should say.
Uh-huh.
Um, it just didn't it didn't bode well in the first half of that game. So, and also again, it's always about position of strength and who can match up the best. I think Spags made some mistakes in that game. Now, granted, they had a really good defensive stance for the most part against a very
Uh-huh.
strong offense, but I
Yeah.
think the Fenton was a big mistake against that giant wide receiver.
Hmm.
Mahomes did say at one point that Fenton holds and he interferes too much. He
Yeah.
said that, I think it was in training camp.
Yeah, I saw
And
that video at training camp. Yep.
yeah, and it was kind of proven because he does.
Yeah, and then if you match him up against a big receiver like that, it's just gonna kind of double the chances of having that, and
Yeah,
compared to a guy that usually plays clean. Because those big receivers, you have to get physical with them. But then if you already commit a bunch of penalties, it's
yeah.
recipe for disaster.
And plus, once you start committing them, the refs are just going to watch you the entire game. Look
Hmm.
what they did to
Yeah,
Breezy.
I mean,
They do it
yeah,
to Breezy all the time. So
there's a lot of plays like that any play you can get holding if you look close enough. So then if you just draw attention to yourself, then
yeah, yeah.
not good.
Well, and it's sad because we were talking about this on the last show, but there was so many. I mean, we got called for 3 or 4 holding penalties during that game. But then I watched it during the game and then I watched it on all 22. And I thought,
Hmm.
okay, they just held Chris Jones for a good 5 seconds right in front of everybody. They held Mike Dana for a very long period of time. They held
Hmm.
OBJ. I mean, they got their shoulders, their jerseys held up in the air and
Pulling them
keeping them
across the
from
body
moving.
and all
Yeah,
sorts of uh-huh.
yeah. And never did they get called. Never was that a
Right.
holding penalty. But man, if we tugged a guy's jersey by, if we, God forbid, that 2 fingers pinched a jersey for a tenth of a second,
Uh-huh.
um, we were getting called. So, but that referee crew is a little bit different, to say the least.
Mhm.
They supposedly got rid of most of the bad refs that were in the league, but that's the one group that I have a strange feeling we're going to play in the Bucks with. I don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why, but I got a
Probably
weird.
probably a
Woo,
good hunch.
yeah. I just I hope not, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's a chance. Guess we'll see.
So I don't know.
So speaking of the Bucks, NFL dropped their power rankings and they've got them at 3, and then Chiefs at 2 and Bills at 1. What are your
I don't
thoughts on
get.
that?
That's absolutely absurd.
Uh-huh.
Um, that is absolutely absurd. I think that if they actually believe PFF, that is, that the Bucks are third in the division, I don't know what they're looking at. I really don't. That's just almost to the point of being hateful
Yeah,
because and then they got Mahomes like 11th or 12th.
I saw that dropped all the way down.
Where where do they come up? I don't understand how their matrix works. I don't know. I think their algorithm is broke. Even Nick Wright called him
Hmm.
out. And if Nick Wright's going to call you out, then there's some validity to it. But um, yeah, I called him out on Twitter. I called that kid out on Twitter from Denver when they had him ranked 8th, and
Hmm.
within 30 seconds, Nick Wright called him out and said, "What? I love what PFF does." And there's a guy, Sam, that's a PFF guy that he says, "I love what he does, but man, your algorithm is busted. It's broken. It's got to be
Hmm.
fixed. Come on, guys."
It's faulty. I mean, if they're going to use that as like the reliable source of all that stuff, then they've got to be less partial.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it's got
so.
to be less biased. I mean,
Yeah,
you
and then
could
they've got
tell
the
that it's
Rams at. Go ahead.
fandom. It's fandom. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
is. It all boils down to fandom. And that kid
And then
lives
the
in
Rams at
Denver.
4, who've got a Super Bowl hangover.
Yeah,
Like that's another discussion for another day, I guess. But
I
and
don't
then
get it.
Chargers at 5. It's kind of a all faulty, screwed up type of system.
It really is. Where do they have the Ravens at? I didn't see that, but I want to know where the Ravens are right now after that game.
They were in the middle. Let me check. But yeah, I got the top 5 written down because I was kind of
Yeah,
caught my eye with the Bucks at 3. I mean, their defense played pretty well, but that's offense didn't move for crap there for most of the game. I mean, so
yeah. I just want to know if I want to know where they got the Ravens. That's kind of
see if we can try to pull it up. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like the Bucks offense didn't get anything done for like the entire game, and then they kind of got
no.
everyone. They got momentum from their defense, and then they just rolled with it.
Yeah,
So
I mean Brady
I
had one
mean,
touchdown.
hmm
I mean, when you really look at it, he had one touchdown.
yeah, and he's
So
been playing. We've already been talking about how he
yeah,
has not been playing well, and you can't have a quarterback playing like that and get them third best in the league. It's just kind of disrespectful to some of these other teams.
yeah, it really is. I mean, it really is. When you
Hmm.
got so many good quarterbacks out there that are playing at a much higher or at a higher caliber in so many ways, and then just to put him up there because he's Brady is just ridiculous. I mean, look,
Yep.
last year he was 0-4 with the Bucks against the Saints until this game, and
Mm-hmm.
it looked like he was going to be 0-5.
Yeah, I
If
did.
it wasn't for the defense bailing him out, and
But
honestly, that's what saved him. It really
yep.
was.
I
So
mean, you can't put them at third in the third best in the entire league when they might not even be the best in their division. I mean, it's up for
exactly,
debate. You could very
yeah,
well argue that the Saints are going to be a better team this year. So
yeah. If they could, and honestly, I mean, if you really look at it, Winston is the one that really, I mean, he screwed that
he
game up.
sold. Yeah. Yep.
He just dropped the ball in so many ways, and I know that's not really no pun intended, but he and that's has been his mo since he's been in the league. When he gets behind or he gets pressured, he throws errant passes, tries to thread the needle, when he can't.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have it. I don't think I saw a pass of his that actually was a complete spiral during
Yeah.
that entire
No.
game.
He kind of, I don't know. He tries to do too much, I think, and he just tries to he almost puts everything he has into a single pass, whether it's
Yeah,
5 yards or 50 yards, and he just doesn't work
yeah.
well.
I don't know what he's
Here
trying
they
to
are.
prove. I mean, I really don't know what he's trying to prove with this. Let me
Yeah.
try to throw as hard as I can,
Mm-hmm.
regardless if it's off the mark, regardless if my wide receiver's not ready, regardless if I overthrow him 15 yards.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Against
like
the best,
I don't
he can be
know.
playing the best corner in the league, and he's going to be throwing it deep, trying to
Exactly.
throw it up top. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yep.
But I
They've got
think,
the Ravens at 8 on here.
wow.
Yep.
Wow. I,
So
I don't know.
something.
I don't know. Something's really wrong.
They
But,
played well. So.
yeah, I mean, they did, but their defense is terrible. So, or
Mm-hmm.
at least it was against the Bills. But, uh, I don't, I guess I'm just confused on how they get their rankings and where they get them from. I mean, Cynthia Freeland has better rankings than they do. She has better
Mm-hmm.
picks. She has a better algorithm. There's no doubt about that.
Right.
So if they even somebody had told me at one point they don't even use an algorithm. But
That wouldn't surprise me at this point. But
yeah, I mean, I don't know where they get their numbers at. I don't know. I would love for somebody at PFF to explain to me how they come up with these.
yeah.
It's just
To,
it's very
to,
confusing.
to be fair, they probably couldn't. So
I don't
that'd
think
be.
they could either. I don't think they could either. I mean, and the funny part
Yeah.
is when they had Mahomes ranked 8th, I pulled up NFL Network, ESPN, CBS, and ABC, and everybody had
Mhm.
Mahomes at number 1.
Oh, I mean, yeah. His week 1 performance was better than some guys have from 2 weeks combined.
Exactly. I
So,
mean, the guy's got 7 touchdowns in 2 games. You know,
yep.
the one season that he had better was 10 in 2 games, 6-4.
Yep.
So I don't know what they're looking at, but regardless, it is what it is. That's just fuel for him. And he even mentioned it in the press conference. PFF probably not going to like this, my performance
Mhm.
in this game.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So, which I think he loves the fact that they troll him the way they do, because that just fuels him. Go ahead
Mhm.
and troll
Oh,
me. I'm
yeah.
going to throw some,
Mhm.
vertical, horizontal, off pattern, off the back foot slider for 35
Uh-huh.
yards for a touchdown, and then you guys can, lick it, because that's
Right. I
exactly
mean,
what.
they judge his bad throws, but most of his bad throws are when he's falling backwards, like you were saying, all sorts of circus throws, and it's still better than a lot of guys just sitting flat
Yeah,
feet and throwing it. So,
yeah. I
but
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting, but he has more accuracy, like you said. He has more accuracy throwing off kiltered, off
with his
balance,
left hand,
falling down with his left hand, behind his back. You know,
legs
it-
tied between together.
yeah. I mean, it's crazy to think
uh,
about it, but and I tell you, I don't know if you watched Skip rip. I mean, Shannon just ripped Skip apart, but that was
mhm.
phenomenal.
That was
I
awesome.
I couldn't ask for a better. I mean, if you were having a really bad day, just go back and watch that, because that'll just put you in a great mood. Um, I think there's some teams out there that are going to have to do some changes fairly quick in the season.
Mhm.
I think the Cowboys, they got themselves a quarterback right now, and
Mhm. He was playing well.
playing very well. Uh,
Mhm.
it there's going to have to be before the deadline comes, there's going to be a lot of guys in the street. And
Yep.
there's teams out there that need to pick them up, because the Ravens, they need help in the secondary. The Raiders need help on their defensive line, their secondary, their offensive line.
Their coach.
Their coach. Sometimes their quarterback, depending on the day.
Uh-huh.
Russell Wilson
Every other
is
game.
struggling. I mean, immensely struggling.
And they screwed themselves over there because no one's going to trade for him with the huge contract that he has. I mean, I
No,
couldn't see it anyway. So
no,
they're stuck with him. He didn't play a single snap, and they gave him a huge extension. I mean, it wasn't smart.
no, it was not. I mean, unbelievably just sometimes I look at these contracts and I think, what are you doing?
Mhm.
What are
He'll
you
retire
seeing?
before he plays out the whole contract, I think. I don't
Oh,
think
I
he'll
think
play
he
that
will
long.
too. I
Uh-huh.
honestly think if he doesn't make the playoffs this year, he may not come back next year.
Yeah. I mean, 1, 2, maybe even 3, but it's not. He's not playing very much longer than.
No, no. The way he looks right now, he's not very mobile. His
Which was
passes,
his specialty.
well, yeah, that was his like bread and butter. And
Yeah.
I get it, the fact that he's 33, but in the same aspect, I don't think he's lost that much mobility. I think he just feels like maybe I got to prove that I can actually pass instead of just run.
Yeah.
And I
For
know
like
he
his
really,
legacy.
yeah. And I know he
Yeah.
really wanted to prove something against Seattle, and he didn't. I
Hmm.
mean,
Yeah, I know. That was his prove it game, and he sold against one of the worst teams in the league. I mean,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I got to tell you something too, and I said this on the last show. It kind of proves how much, I guess, disconnect there was, and also maybe animosity to a degree between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, because
hmm
he waited until Russell was gone to revamp his O line,
Yep, I
and
saw that. Yeah.
I was like, okay, that tells you kind of something. And then when they played
Uh-huh.
them, Russell was getting all kinds of hugs and kisses and love and everything from the other players, but Pete Carroll never went near him.
Yep.
So there must have been an issue there somewhere, but hey, it is what it is. I think he made a mistake by coming to this division with two of the better
I
quarterbacks
do
in the
too.
league.
Especially at this point in his days. I mean, he's getting older now. It's not like he's still prime Russell Wilson. So play out
No.
your days in a weaker division or
Well, that's
conference at
what
that
Brady
too.
did. Brady was smart enough to do
Uh huh.
that. I mean, he had
Yep.
chances
I
with
mean,
three West Coast teams and said, nah, I don't think I want to play with those guys. I want to play in a
yep. I
losing
mean,
division, you know?
hell, even a losing conference, the NFC, anyone could win it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I saw a stat. It said since like 1972, sometime around then, when the wild card came into play, only like 10 teams have made it to the Super Bowl off of a wild card. And I think that's kind of my hot take is that a wild card could make the Super Bowl for the NFC this year, just because of how it could be anyone's game and anyone's week, and they could make it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We talked about that on a prior game, and you're right, on a prior
hmm
show. I don't remember too many teams prior to last year that went to the playoffs with either a losing record or a 500 record. I know
hmm
Detroit did it one year. I think the Jaguars did it one year, if I'm not
I
mistaken.
think they did. Yep.
Um, but it's really hard to go in and get in the playoffs with at that time, say an 8-8 or a 7-9 record and
hmm
get in the playoffs. Now it's almost it's easier to a degree, and they did that for a
Yep.
reason. But I understand why. I mean, most of it was trying to make up money, but a lot of it was just the fact that they, in their infinite wisdom, is, well, we want to give other people a chance to, just to,
hmm
because of their schedule or because of injuries or whatever the case may be. We want to give them a chance to play in the playoffs. Well,
Yep.
what are they going to do when it's an 18-week schedule, which is going to happen by probably 2025?
Yep.
They're going to have an 18-week
Uh-huh.
schedule.
I saw they've been pushing for it. So,
Yeah. So, I
yep.
mean, what are they going to do then?
Yep. I
It's,
mean, they're going to have some bad teams in the NFC, especially this year in the
yeah.
playoffs, just because
Yeah.
of the extended wild card. I mean, it'll be tough having the 4 division winners being competitive for some of the some of the divisions.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
I mean, you got 3 other teams in there. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Um, I think when I look at the NFC right now, you really, I mean, with the exception of the Bucks, that no matter what, they're probably going to make the playoffs.
Mhm.
Um, but you really only have, like, now you got San Francisco that with Jimmy G back, that's going to be a little bit more aggressive.
Mhm.
Um, Aaron Rodgers, you never know with him. He's got a team full of rookies and Sammy Watkins.
And he might not even show up for a game. He'll
Yeah,
be.
he may not
You
show
don't
up.
even know if
I
he's.
mean,
Uh-huh.
he may have scotched it up the night before, and you don't know what he's going to
Uh-huh.
do. But there's very few teams in the NFC that you can sit back and go, okay, well, they're a lock for the playoffs.
Mhm.
There's only maybe three. And
Yep.
in the AFC, you've got so many teams that can make it.
Oh
and
yeah.
really make it on a 500 schedule, just
Mhm.
because of the way things are going. But
I mean, I'd say the Chargers, they'd if they were in any other division, they'd be winning a few of those. I mean,
oh yeah,
compared to, I mean, so they'll probably beat a couple of teams as a wild card still. They'll come in and win a few games in the playoffs, I think.
Well, the one thing that the Chargers have going for them right now is the fact that they have a very front-loaded schedule, where we
Mhm.
don't. Our
Yep.
schedule is really, I think it was ranked 1 or 2 as the toughest schedules in the league.
Yep. Some of them were different too. I think they were always at 1 or 2 though, like
Yeah,
depending on who came out with them.
exactly. So the Chargers, they've got a much easier schedule in the first 9 than we do.
Mhm.
So, especially the first 8, but it that can give them the momentum to move forward. Where if we can get past, even say if we lose one of these next 7 games,
Mhm.
we're still in a really good position. I just don't want
Oh
to lose
yeah.
to a divisional rival.
Yep.
Lose to the Raiders, which that's the way they're playing. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, but that happens. It always catches us off guard. They could be the worst team in the league, and we could be the best, and we might split with the Raiders just because that's how
Yeah.
division opponents go. So
Well, if it goes like anything that it did last year, I mean, I think we beat them by 68 points in 2 games.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that
so
stat. We whooped them.
yeah.
So
So I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out. But
mhm,
I think the Bills have lost a lot of players.
mhm,
We don't know what they're going to be like until they really play somebody that's got a stout
right.
defense. And look, again, it could be Miami, it could be New England that ends up winning that division. You just don't know
Yep.
yet. I mean, you
Mhm.
just don't
Based
know.
off the schedule too. Yeah, I mean, it could be anybody.
Yeah. So
So even
it's
if they
gonna
are the better team, given, I mean, if someone has an easier schedule and win a few more games, and that's all it takes.
it's all it takes. And
So.
exactly what we said happened to Cincinnati is exactly what happened. They regressed.
Mhm.
Right now, Joe Burrow has 13 sacks in 2 games.
He's on
13
pace for like
sacks.
100 and some.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if he surpasses the 68 that he had last year, oh my Lord. I mean, the guy's
Yep.
going to come out looking like a pretzel.
Yep.
It
I mean, we've
it's
given up 1 sack,
1 sack.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
1
in 2
sack,
games.
2 games.
And we played one of the best D lines in the league, I'd say, against the Chargers. I mean,
Yeah.
they've stacked
And
it up. So
they're
I'm really impressed
linebackers.
with their offensive line so far. Yeah,
I
and they
am
have great
too.
linebackers.
Yeah. Uh, I think our offensive line did well. I mean, people complained about OBJ. He gave up 2 pressures. I don't know what they were
Mhm.
looking at, but he only gave up 2 pressures during that game. If anybody struggled a little bit, it was Wiley.
Yep.
But everybody else played, and even Wiley against that defensive line played fairly well,
Yeah.
given the fact that it was, the Chargers and they're strong
Mhm.
on their D line. Probably one of the better D lines in football.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But we learned a few things. Carlos Dunlap should be in the game a lot more.
Mhm.
When Danny Shelton comes back, he's good. When he's brought up to the 53, it's going to be, man, him and Chris Jones together would be an absolute nightmare.
Mhm.
A
And you get some speed
nightmare.
on the edge there, and
Oh God.
we're rolling.
Yeah, and you know what else they did, which I love, is the fact that they noticed that Chris Jones was struggling because he was getting double teamed, and they
Mhm.
moved him over, and instantly got a sack. Pressures up,
Yeah.
all over the place. They're learning that they need to make adjustments, which they didn't do last year. They just stuck with their game plan, whether it be on offense or defense.
Mhm.
And now they're making adjustments and putting the right players in. The one thing that during that Chargers game that I think they should have done was put Jody Fortson in earlier, and I think they should have
Mhm.
put Watson in earlier, because
Yep.
both of those guys are playmakers. And
Yep.
it just, to me, that should have happened. I don't think they should have given up that touchdown to Rivers
Yeah.
late in the
Mhm.
game, because we almost lost the onside kick. That was close.
Mhm. Yeah, that
So
was really close.
yeah,
My heart skipped a few beats.
yeah, I was like, oh man, do not give them the ball right now, whatever you
Yeah,
do.
I was like, there's no way we're about to. Yep, but we
But
managed through.
yeah, so I think we played one of the tougher. And look, there's a big debate going around about who is better than Josh Allen, as far as other quarterback besides Mahomes. I got to give it to Herbert. Look, the kid has got more poise, with less weapons,
And he's been amazing with some poor coaching as well.
And poor coaching. And he's still doing very well. I mean, I have to give it to him. For as young as he is, he's got extreme poise and a very humble kid. He's not easily frustrated like Allen is.
Right.
And look, if Allen's got a wide open receiver, well, yeah, he's going to hit him. I mean, he's got a strong arm. But let's see him do that against a really strong defense. I think if he would have been playing the Chargers, that would have been a lot different game.
I would too. I would have given him a few interceptions on top of that too.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
You would have. Yep. Yeah, I had a guy text me last night talking about how great the Bills were, and I was like, they'll slow down once they start hitting some competition. I mean, they're hot right now, and they've had, easiest schedule so far. And I was like, but they'll have some competition later on, and even they'll be a good team, but they're gonna slow up a little bit. They'll cool off as the season progresses. Because I'd rather get hot midway through than come out hot like this, because that kind of, especially against the easier teams, it kind of ruins your momentum once you hit a couple of barriers along the season.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to be that, especially with the Bills, they do have their hot and cold moments. They do it every year. So we'll just have to see what happens. Getting a little bit of interference. I don't know where that's coming from. It might be the storms and the wind, but hopefully everybody can hear us. It's just a little bit of wind and storms going on out here. We've had some 40-mile-an-hour gusts going on all day long. So
we need some rain here. So if you want to send it our way, that'd be.
Well, we're not getting any rain. We're just getting like lightning and a lot of wind. The lightning is over the mountains, and then we're just getting a ton of wind. So I don't know where that's. We always get that, but it's going to be 98 degrees next week. So it's going to be hot. So.
Yep, it's been hot here. So.
Yeah.
Dry.
So, but I don't know. The Bills have their hot and cold moments just like everybody else, and I think they're gonna. With the fact that they've lost so many players, a lot of key starters, if they don't have the depth and the backups to be able to step in and play, they're going to struggle. I mean, it's that simple. Yep. God forbid they lose their wide receiver. So,
I have a fantasy, so I've been appreciating it, but I don't think he'll keep it up.
I don't either. I mean, he's a great wide receiver. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's. There's times that you take those chances, and those chances could put you out of the out of the game or out of the season, really. So, but I got to give it to him. He's a really good wide receiver, and when you throw it on when he's wide open like he is on a couple of those touchdowns that he got, I mean, one of them, I think the closest defender was like 12 yards away from him.
I've seen some of those where they pause the film and it'll be him running this route and he'll be 10, 12 yards off. I'm like, man, that's.
And a lot of that's just because the defender didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
A stutter step or a juke move will get you, especially if you're a rookie, will get you thrown off. And then, these rookie CBs and DBs and safeties, they don't know which way to turn. And plus he was out there by himself. So it was similar to that Charvarius Ward situation with Chase. When you're left alone on an island against a good wide receiver, this is what's going to happen to you.
It's going to happen. Yep.
Yeah. So it's just, it kind of is what it is, but we'll just have to see how it plays out and go from there. But they know they got a lot of injuries, and now they got a suspended player. I don't know who they play this week coming up. I haven't looked at the schedule, but
O-line's going to hurt though. That's one of the positions you don't want to lose because it's hard to fill a role there.
Definitely not. We know that from firsthand. We know how that worked out in the Super Bowl. So
exactly, they play Miami. I just saw it.
Oh boy, that's going to be actually a fun game to watch. I mean,
it will be.
That's going to be a really good game to watch. So
I mean, they've got Miami, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and then us. So
you play Baltimore like a week after the other. Wow.
Yep. So insane. they're gonna have some challenges coming up. So
So hopefully Baltimore can get their defense together and do something.
Slow them
down. But one thing I will say is I don't think Lamar's going to be with the Ravens next year.
I don't either. I could see him trading him or just re-signing somewhere else, but I could see him trading him off.
Yeah, I think he's going to want a contract. They haven't offered him one yet, and there's been.
It'll be fun to see. Yep, it'll be fun to see him play on another team. See what he does there.
Man, there's so many teams out there that could use him. That he fits in a mold, I should say. And you never know It might end up being, if he leaves and walks, it might end up being New England, because
Yeah.
they need an answer, because Mac Jones
Yep.
is not it.
Right.
So
Give him some spark.
yeah,
They're one of those teams, like I was saying about the Broncos. Like if you're gonna have mediocre quarterback play, you gotta have some talent, and they don't
yeah,
have either right now. So
yeah. So they're just struggling. And thank God they got a defense, but I mean it's not going
yep.
to help them if they don't have any offense whatsoever.
Right.
So they're really going to have to step up their game a little bit. But you never know.
Yep.
Next year it might be, you might see Lamar in New England. You just never know.
Yep.
Uh,
So
let's find out. But
yep. Looking at the
um,
Colts now, looking ahead. What are you thinking about that? I mean, I know they got embarrassed by the Jaguars, but we still got to respect them as opponents. So what are you thinking about that game?
I think that it's. I think we're going to beat them. I don't know if
For
it's going
sure.
to be. I think it's probably going to be. I don't see us scoring under 30 points.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
I don't know if they have an offense that is able to contend with our defense right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it a score, even without Willie Gay. I'm going to say 35, 35-17.
All right.
I'm going to put it there.
I was gonna go. I think I go 41-13.
Woof.
Yep.
That's a big
I
spread.
like it.
It might happen. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I
I
wouldn't
was
have no
gonna
doubts.
I was gonna play it a little safe, but then you went right around where I was thinking, so I got to give us the benefit of the doubt there.
There you go.
Give
Yeah.
give them a couple of field goals, and then I think we'll hit a couple as well. So we'll see
Yeah.
what happens.
Well,
But
it's a little frustrating when Andy likes to play. Oh, and Andy and Spags both go to that prevent defense when they're up so far, and they let them, get the trash touchdowns. To me, I think they
Mhm.
need. Look, I understand it from a respect standpoint, and I get it from maybe an injury standpoint to a degree. But you also have to give your players that confidence level to know that they can shut people out or keep them out of the end zone. Okay, kick a couple field goals, whatever the case
Right.
may be, but keep them from scoring touchdowns. That gives those guys the confidence that, especially when they're new and they're rookies and they're young, that they're
Uh-huh.
able to stop anybody. You know,
Mhm.
so that's just my opinion. I think they should keep the gas. They need to keep the gas on until the clock strikes zero.
Yep.
Give these guys some momentum. Give them some confidence. Give them a reason to want to go out there and do it again.
Right. Exactly. I mean, especially, you get some of these guys that, maybe aren't the biggest talent in the league, but they have bigger names behind them where that them, and they make a rookie comes in and makes a stop against that guy, then their confidence going through the roof right there. So,
Exactly, exactly,
yep.
and that's what.
Especially some of these late round picks and undrafted guys.
Yeah,
That's huge for them.
yeah. Your Jalen Watsons, your guys like that nobody expected much out of, and then they
Right.
turn out to be great players because the
Mhm.
momentum in your confidence level. Look, your mind's 80% of this game.
Yeah,
So
exactly. You
it's not
feel like that, then you're gonna play like it.
exactly.
So,
I mean, it's no different than when I played baseball. It was the same thing when I had a shitty
mhm.
game. It was, or, whether it be a rough game or a bad game, or I didn't play up to what I thought I should have played up to.
Mhm.
It will mess with your mind a little bit.
Exactly.
Um, but it's part of it. You just have to let that go. I remember
Mhm.
when I first started playing golf, I played with this guy, and I'm left-handed, but I started off left-handed playing golf, and I almost killed a guy on the golf course. I mean, I almost killed him.
Uh-huh.
I hit this ball right off the toe of the club. And the driving range was right next to the tee box. So,
Mhm.
it missed this guy's face by an inch. And the clubhouse guy came out and he goes, "You're going to kill somebody." And I said, "Yeah, probably am." And he says, "Maybe you ought to try playing right-handed." I said, "Man, I can't do anything right-handed. Look, I'm a left-handed pitcher. Well, I know who you are,
Mhm.
but I bet you can play right-handed." And it took 40 strokes off my game. I was the worst golfer ever left-handed.
I'm awful. I'm
I
awful.
was terrible left-handed. But it's so funny because I started playing really well right-handed.
No kidding.
And I, I was playing at that time, I was playing 3, 4 times a week, and I got down into the mid to high 70s. And
Yeah.
that's pretty good for a guy that's not, play, is playing every day of the week and hitting 6,000 balls a week.
Right.
So if you can, be a 3 or 4 handicap, 5 handicap, that's pretty strong.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I did it
I don't
right-handed.
think I don't think switching my dominant hand for golf is gonna help me any, but I'm glad I
Well,
was able to help you.
I tell you, it did. It kept me from killing people. And
Yeah.
uh, I played with some guys that, some ex-baseball players, and I play with a few Chiefs guys, and anytime I would have a rough game, they would say, it's all in your head. It's all in your head. First two tees, are off the tee box. I'd shank one, or I broke a window at one golf course, went right through that guy's upper window. And anyway, if you the one thing that I was taught though is that if you can't let the last tee box go, you're never going to play any better moving forward.
Mhm.
You have to forget that one ever happened, and that's part of any sport. You have to let it go, move forward, and just hope that your team has enough confidence in you, and you have enough confidence in yourself to make it happen. And
Yep.
that's what I think they need to do with this defense, is let those guys build up their confidence level and know that they can go out there and stop anybody. Know that they can stop any touchdown pass. They can keep people out of the end zone. That's what they have to allow these guys to do, so they will have that level of mindset and that level of confidence that will propel them further during the rest of the season. Because we can
Yep.
easily have a top 10 defense.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then I think we might get to see some emergence of some young guys with the absence of Willie Gay. So I know he's still pretty young too, but we've got that third round rookie, Leo Chanel. I'm not
Love
exactly
him.
sure how to pronounce it. Yep.
Love
And
him.
then we've got the undrafted free agent, the Jack Cochrane. So
Yeah.
we've got some young guys that could come in here and we could see them do something. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Chanel is a beast.
yeah,
And
he
the one
was
thing,
good in college.
oh God. And I know that they had planned on doing a lot of 3 linebacker sets this year. So, this will help him get acclimated. And
hmm
when they do go to that 3 linebacker set in certain situations with the right packages, and the right opponent, it will really help a lot.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, if he plays his butt off this game and boosts the coach's confidence in him, then we could see it a lot more in crucial moments of the game where where we need it. So
Yeah, exactly. And
yep, that would
I'm
really.
dying for Danny Shelton to get on that field. I'm
Me
dying
too.
for him to get on that field, because I'm
Yep.
telling you, that guy is a difference maker. He is going to
Mhm.
change that line.
Yep. Our defense hasn't even met its full potential yet, and here we are. So I
Yeah.
think we can. Yep, I'm excited.
Yep. It's just it's crazy to think that they come out as a well-oiled machine the way they have.
hmm
And
Especially offensively too, because there's a lot of guys that haven't been there before. I mean, you got McCole Hardman and Travis Kelsey, but that's about it as far as
that's it.
veterans go on
Yeah,
our offense. So
that's it.
I mean,
Everybody.
it's been pretty impressive how they've been able to merge. I know it's been pretty much a different guy every week outside of Kelsey, but I've been impressed so far.
Well, and that's what, Mahomes said, that, don't expect to see, the same guy every week, because it's going to
hmm
be spread. And that's what their whole goal behind this was.
Right.
They wanted a true spread offense, and now they have it.
Yep.
So Mahomes, I think he had hit 11 guys in one game. I don't
hmm
remember what year it was. But if you can hit 8, 9 guys a game and average that out throughout the season, you're unstoppable.
Yep.
You
Because they
can't
don't know who
cover
to guard.
everybody. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. And if we
So
come out in a 5 deep set with receivers, I mean, anyone can be open there. So that's perfect.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah. I
So
did see somebody complain that said that if the Chiefs are going to run 4 tight end sets all the time, they're going to get exposed.
mhm.
Um, I don't think they realize how good our tight ends are. You
No.
got a hybrid tight end that is fast, has got great hands. He's 6'6", and is a unbelievable red zone threat. You got
Yep.
Travis Kelsey, which is the best in the league. Noah Gray is fast, a little smaller, and can get
Mhm.
around people quicker and runs a
He's
good route.
smart too.
Very
He's a
smart,
smart player.
very
Uh-huh.
smart player.
Yep.
And then, you still got Blake Bell, that when he does come back, um,
Right.
one of the best blocking tight ends in football.
Oh yeah.
So
I mean, he's got some talent. He can't stay on the field. But if he's on the
yeah,
field, he's playing well.
exactly.
So I'd say that comment about the 4 deep set would almost be a kind of a base level analysis there, because I mean, sure, you can judge that, but then those 3 guys, they're kind of unproven. But then once you really dig down deep, they're good football players. So I
Yeah.
mean, if you do your research, I mean, they can do things for us. I mean, they could probably go to a few teams and see a lot higher playing time.
Well, yeah. I mean, look what Jody Fortson has done in the last year. He was 5 for 5 before he got injured. This
Mhm.
year, I mean, up until the Chargers game, he was 100% on
Yep.
everything. It was either
Yep.
a first down or a touchdown.
I saw that. That is an insane stat right there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you can't really put a price on something like that.
Yeah. No. And that's what builds up our offense even more is guys like that where
Yeah.
I mean, base level it's like, well, he might be all right, but then you get him on the field and he's a playmaker. So,
Exactly. I mean,
yep.
he doesn't let anybody get a ball from him. That's for sure. He
Yeah,
will
for
fight
sure.
you tooth and nail to keep that ball in his hands. So,
Yep. I
uh,
mean, Justin Watson, he's a bottom tier player in a lot of people's eyes, and he was burning one of the best corners in the league this past
yeah,
Thursday. So,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, we got guys.
yeah.
And then,
And I think they noticed too that who they need to have on that field at certain times. And
mhm,
if you're down, if you're struggling with who you have on the field, you better put Watson in. You better get Fortson in the game.
mhm,
Mix it up. Don't stick by that one play sheet because it
right.
does have another side to it.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And I don't think Juju's reached his full potential with us yet, so he'll start to see an increase in stuff too. So I think
oh,
he'll
I
pick
think
it
so
up
too.
later too. And
Him and
yep.
MVS. So
Yep.
they're both going
Yep.
to pick it up. But that was just a really good defense all the way around. I mean,
Mhm.
it's tough. And then you got McCall out there that really hasn't reached his potential yet. He's had some good catches. He's had some
Uh-huh.
so-so plays, but
I've been waiting on him. He's
he'll
due.
get there. He'll
So,
get there.
yep,
I got all the faith in the world in that kid. He's going to be able to get it. So
for sure.
it just depends on the package they put out on the field. Because,
Mhm.
like you said, you can't cover everybody. So if you've
Exactly.
got MVS, you got say you got Watson out there, you got Kelsey out there, then you bring in Juju and you got McCall. There's 5 guys. And Mahomes has his pick of anybody he wants to throw to.
Mhm.
And then you also have a running back that can,
I was gonna say, and you got running back coming out of the backfield too. So,
yeah. So I mean, hell, Burton's caught, passes. So
yeah, yeah.
uh, so they just have to realize there's a depth chart and then there's the best chart.
Right.
And and that's what they really have to look at. They can't just go
Mhm.
by, okay, well, this guy's, the more vetted player or the more experienced player, whatever the case may be. Everybody like Watson, he's a great example because he didn't do well in other systems, but he has flourished
Mhm.
in ours.
Right.
And that's something that we have preached for years that people just don't understand is it doesn't matter how bad somebody played on another team because it's all about the system and the coaching that you have. You got the
Mhm.
NFL for a reason. Somebody
Yep.
saw something in you. Now, have there been
Exactly.
busts? Of course there have been,
Right.
but
But
it's
at some point, there's talent somewhere. I mean,
exactly,
try to find it and
exactly.
utilize it.
Yeah.
So,
So, and we're really good at that. But
yep. I've been
anyway,
rooting for Watson, especially. He's got my sleight of hand because I wrote that article on him, and I kind of picked him to be a sleeper to show out this year. So
yeah, I
he's
think
kind
he's
of
mine
been,
too.
he's kind of been my guy that I've been rooting for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he stepped on the field and immediately made an impact when they put
Hmm.
him out there. So,
Yep. I think
uh,
he'll see an increase in snaps after that.
oh, I agree.
But
I agree. They're going
yep.
to see a difference in a lot of things, and I think it's it's a learning curve for this team,
Yep.
and they kept the right players. I mean, they kept the right people. They got the right practice squad. So,
Oh yeah. I mean, say what you want about their offseason. They did everything exactly as they should have, in my opinion.
oh, it was
Nothing. I
A
mean, it's
plus. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was A plus. There's no doubt about that. Veach
Yep.
has had two of the best. Really, I mean, if you think about it, he's had two of the best off seasons anybody could ask for.
Hmm.
When it comes to player acquisition and then also the draft.
Yep.
He's had two of the best seasons last year and this year that you could have asked for.
Yep.
So it's just going to be now. It's just going to let him out there and let him fly.
Yep.
You
I'm
know.
excited. I mean,
Yep.
we are not even close to our full potential yet, and so once we
No.
hit that, no one's stopping us.
And I think people know that. I think other teams know that.
Yeah.
They may say what they want. PFF can say what they want, but
Mhm.
I think deep down everybody knows that if we can come out and play the way we did in the last 2 games, what are we
Mhm.
going to look like in week 8?
Exactly.
So I mean, sorry, but I feel bad for the rest of the NFL at this point because
Mhm.
once they get to that point, they're just going to be on that roll that they're not going to be,
No. Yeah.
nobody's going to
Yep.
be able to stop them.
That's exactly how it's been too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we get hot right at the end, and that's all that matters. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if we've lost 6, 7 games. I mean, we can get in there and get hot in the playoffs, and it's all over from there.
Yeah.
So
So,
definitely, probably the highest ceiling out of any team in the league, I'd
oh,
say.
without fail.
I mean, yeah. So I mean, you can't really question it. They're going to be a lock for a deep playoff run every year for
Yeah.
so many
Years
years
to
to
come.
come.
So many
Uh-huh.
years. It's
So
gonna be a fun decade. I'll put it that
yeah,
way.
for sure.
When it comes to the Chiefs. So,
Hmm.
and I don't worry. I mean, I'm old, so I used to worry a lot. Especially when I was spent a lot of time on the field. But I worried a lot about how we were going to end up, especially after that '93 game. I was always like, okay, great, we're going to make the playoffs. Are we going to make it through the first round? Then it was the Alex Smith years. Are we going to make it to the first
Uh-huh.
round? I don't worry
Yeah.
anymore. I
No.
just don't have that fear like I used to.
No.
So,
Yep. And I don't know. I mean, it's kind of funny because we've already reached the point where I'm sure Patriots fans can kind of relate, but it's kind of the point where we're hated on by every other fan base now because of how much win we've already produced.
yeah,
So I mean, you can hop on Twitter after a win, and it's all about the refs. And I mean, I think I saw more people compliment Justin Herbert in a loss than I did talk about Mahomes after the game.
yeah,
Which, I mean, he played great, but not good enough apparently. So
yeah. I
I don't
mean, it
know.
was
It's
always
interesting.
about, oh my God, look how great he did. He played hurt. That's what
Uh-huh.
Skip was rambling on about.
Yeah.
And Shannon said, well, that was just stupid.
Yep.
Who cares
Exactly.
if you're hurt, you're hurt. Get off the field.
Yep.
I mean, you're taking a chance of running yourself for the rest of the season.
Exactly. And especially a young guy like that, I mean, you can't afford to have an injury like that where you're already hurt and then re-injure it like that.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no point because he has a great career ahead of him. So why put that all on the line for a week two week
yeah.
two couple of
I mean, I
plays? I
get it
don't
was a
know.
divisional game, and I get all that,
Uh-huh.
but look, a divisional game like that in week 2 can really it can
Right.
define your season right now. But
Right.
when you got a head coach that came out afterwards and said, "Well, it looks like he's going to be ready next week," how are you going to say that knowing that he's got
Uh-huh.
fractured cartilage in his ribs? There's
Exactly.
no, I mean, that pain is intense, bro. It's
Yeah,
intense.
yeah, for sure. I get it was a divisional matchup, like you were saying. It's just like it's too early in the season to be risking it all like that. Like
Yeah,
there's plenty of time still to need somebody like that. And if he's playing next week or I guess this week now, that's kind of foolish in its own thing too, because one, you risk more injury, but then also there's just I don't know, it's kind of at the point of the season where I feel like they'd much rather have him going into the playoffs than they would
yeah,
early on like this.
yeah.
So
And now you're going to have teams, you're going to have DBs and defensive linemen and everybody else just aiming for him, aiming for
oh
those
yeah,
ribs.
there's
So
some dirty players like that, especially they don't care.
they don't care.
So
And if they can knock out a quarterback that is a perennial quarterback and keep him out for the
mhm,
season, they're definitely going to do that.
exactly,
And you got
it's
dirty head
foolish.
coaches that'll do it. So I mean,
Yep,
it
tell them
just is
to.
what it
Yep,
is. And tell them to do it.
it's yep.
So we'll just have to see how it goes for him. I hope that you know his head coach has a little bit more, I guess, brains.
Common sense on the way.
Common
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, to really
just
think about what he's going to do with them if he's still hurting next week, because
right.
you can wrap the hell out of him, but he can still get hurt when a 300-pound guy puts every
Uh-huh.
bit of his weight on you.
Oh, yeah. Especially if he doesn't see it coming off that backside. I mean, if they just
Oh,
smoke him in the back one time, it's
oh God.
yeah. So
Yeah. I mean, he's going to feel every bit of it. And I knew when he came down on that helmet, I thought, okay, he broke a rib. That
yep.
was the first thing I thought was he broke a rib.
Hmm.
And it ended up being a fractured cartilage, which
Right.
hurts just as bad.
Which
I mean,
right.
oh God.
I guess it's somewhat base case or best case scenario, but I still wouldn't say great position to
No,
be in at that point. So
no, it makes it hard to breathe. It makes it hard to
uh-huh.
turn. I mean, it hurts to
Yep.
eat, dude. It it
Yeah.
it, it does. And God forbid you cough. Oh,
Oh,
God
I
forbid
bet.
you
I
cough.
can
I
only
mean,
imagine.
I've shattered my ribs 3 times,
Uh-huh.
twice on one side and once on the other. And I'm telling you, coughing, breathing, eating, drinking water, turning your head the wrong way, bending over, going to the bathroom, everything hurts.
Yeah.
Everything hurts. I mean,
Yeah.
it's insane, and it doesn't go away that quickly. And there's nothing you
Uh-huh.
can do about broken ribs or torn
Right.
cartilage. You just
It's just take it.
take the time. It just takes
Yep.
time to go away. So
Right.
uh, I I felt bad for the guy, but
Uh-huh.
again, I mean, it's up to his coach whether he's smart
Yep.
enough not to put him out in a bad position. a bad
Exactly.
situation.
And that's another thing too, is if this becomes a looming injury for the rest of the season, I mean, it could still be affecting come playoff time if they don't. In my opinion, I'd rather let him sit a week or two and get fully healthy before coming back, instead, or at least some more healthy than he is now,
Well, yeah,
compared to just risking it all and then it just keep getting worse, and then come when you really need him, he's gone.
exactly.
So
I mean, it's no different than Bucker. I mean, Bucker, he can't play right now. He couldn't play. He was out there warming up, but they brought somebody in to fill his spot while he
right,
was until he completely heals, and that's
which
what you
shout out
should
to
do.
shout out to Amendola. He stepped up when we
He
needed him.
did.
So
He did. I mean,
yep,
thank God there wasn't any 55 yarders, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't think he's that great at those, but at least he wasn't,
right. I'm
prior.
glad. Yep, I'm glad it didn't come down to that, but he was consistent as we needed him to be. So,
Exactly. So that's all that really matters. If you can keep consistency in there, and we always got
uh-huh.
Justin Reed if we need it. So,
Yep, which is such a underrated tool that we have.
oh
That's
man,
awesome that we have him.
when you think about it, he's one of the most talented ball players in the league because
Oh, for
he's
sure.
that versatile. I mean, he
Uh-huh.
can play safety, he can play corner, and he's a kicker.
Yep.
What more can you ask? I
Right.
mean,
Exactly.
and he could actually probably
So
play a little bit of linebacker if you wanted him to.
yeah, put him in the nickel especially. He'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
But yeah, a kicker is such a vital point or vital part of having such a good team.
it
I
really
mean,
is.
that could make or ask the Bears. I mean, they would.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it could make or break everything.
it
So
can. I mean, and look at Tommy Townsend, 74-yard bomber in that game. I
yeah,
mean, that was
that's
insane.
un, that's an underrated skill to have too there on a team.
Yeah,
Someone that can pin them deep like that. I mean,
the hang time's
that's
insane.
uh-huh.
I mean, you can eat a
Get your whole
sandwich.
get your whole defend team down right
Yeah,
there before he even touches the ball.
yeah. I
Yep.
mean, I saw I don't know what kicker it was. Somebody hit the I don't know if it was a Giants game. I don't know what game I was watching, but somebody hit the scoreboard in the
I
dome.
think that was the Cowboys game.
It was a Cowboys game, yeah.
Yep.
Hit the scoreboard. It still
I
went
saw
50
that.
some odd yards, but
Uh-huh.
it's pretty strong to hit the scoreboard like that.
Uh-huh.
And then
It was pretty cool to see. You don't see that very often. So
no,
it's
no,
kind of cool to see.
yep.
So
But anyway, um, we got our scores put in. Make sure everybody give Justin a follow on Twitter. He puts out some awesome articles.
thank you.
He retweets everything for us, and make sure you follow the website. It's chiefsfocus.com. Just type it in, subscribe, because we do a lot of stuff on there that, all we do is just tag you when a new article comes in. It'll go into your inbox, or if it's a new podcast, it goes into your inbox. We don't spam you. Or if we do another giveaway, which we've been doing a lot of lately,
Mhm.
we don't spam you. So it's just, you're just going to get the stuff that we put out. And when you sign up, the first 1,000, we've been waiting for this, but the first 1,000 subscribers, you get a free T-shirt. So free Chiefs logo or Chiefs Focus logo T-shirt. And we may have some other things coming out pretty soon
Uh-huh.
as far as merchandise is concerned. So make sure you give us a follow, and check us out on Newsbreak. We're on every podcast channel. We're now on Podvine. We're everywhere. So
Only gonna get bigger.
just going to get bigger. So things are growing very quickly. And check out Primetime Sports Talk. That's our other website. That's all sports all the time. Give that a follow, and you'll get all the NFL news you need, all the baseball news you need, NASCAR, whatever you want. It's all on there as well. So make sure you do that, and we will talk to you guys on Thursday, I believe. So Thursday night, actually. So that's all you got. That's all I got, man.
Yep. Sounds perfect to me.
All right, Chiefs Kingdom. Well, peace out. We will talk to you guys on Thursday.